Hey everyone, Jim's Pudner here, and today we're going to actually just walk through getting set up on your own budget. So if you are wanting to use this and you just don't know where to get started, this is the step-by-step tutorial just how to get you completely set up and started so you're ready to go. You will want to watch the options one before so you know what options you're interested in using, but first step, other than that, is to always set your options. So if we click over here on the options, you can just change any of these. Like I said, refer to the options video before for just details on what exactly those are. Once you've got those options selected, you're going to see this categories and accounts. So I'm just going to explain that real quick. You just click that question mark, or you can come over to this frequently asked questions page. So again, the category is basically what you're going to set the budgeted amount to every month. The accounts, you're going to have multiple accounts for each category, or you can just have the one account for each category, but the accounts are what you're actually going to tie the expense to. So the expense is indirectly going to end up going to the category, but it's going to go through the accounts. Excuse me. So that's what we're going to have to set up. As you can see on the budget, we've got no accounts yet. They're all NIU, which stands for not in use. And we've got no budgeted amounts or anything like that. So what we're going to do is go over to this list here. And as you can see, got no categories. I do have a bunch of example categories. I believe I have these visible on the download file that you can download, but if not, it's just in this column AO. You can just unhide that. But it's just got a bunch of examples if you don't know what to choose. So I'm going to type in a few of these, say housing, utilities, auto, and actually I'm just going to copy and paste a few more. So the reason you leave any accounts as NIU that you don't want to use is because that's going to keep them from going into your chart. It will also keep them from being visible on your budget page. So right here, as you can see right now, all of the columns are visible, even the ones we just added and the NIUs. Once we update this, those NIUs will be hidden. But before we do that, because you see, if we start to click, it'll say, have you already added your accounts? So since we have not yet, you're going to want to add your accounts first, and the reason for that is every category has to have at least one account tied to it, or else there's no way to assign expenses to that. So if there are no accounts tied to it, when you click updated categories, it'll create an account with just the category name and that little dash after. So you're going to want to add accounts first so that you don't already just have, for a category like utilities where you're going to put, all your power, water, etc., you won't just have like a utilities account as well. So we're going to click add accounts, and we're going to choose what category it's going to go to. So we'll do utilities for now, just say water, power, cable, whatever accounts you might be interested in using. Then we'll go to the next one, auto. We'll say gas and auto repairs. Be careful that any sort of names that you're going to use for multiple categories, that you have to signify that the difference somehow. So if you had like a gas for utilities and a gas for auto, you'd want to put like auto gas for the gas that's for the auto. So again, on a cell phone, you can do that. Taxes, we can do state income, real estate, etc. Health, we can do doctor. We can do over-the-counter medicine. We can do prescriptions. Let's see. I like to do different, gasoline and food for travel, so I can keep separate, which I'm spending more on, etc. Restaurants, I do eating out, and then I separate out my dates, because those, I actually did eating dates, but I want to do eating out and then dates. And these you can change at any point up until once you've already used them for some expenses. And you still can change them then, but what it'll do is any expenses that you've assigned to the account, so if I had assigned some expenses to that eating dates, then those would just disappear off my budget once I change this until I go assign them to a new account. So just to be able, you can change these at any point, but I'd recommend if you are changing it, if you've already used it, go to that expense journal and update any of those old entries. So that would be over here. So you can see we also have no expenses put in yet. But so once you've got all these, we can see if there's any more that we should add. Close entertainment now. I think everything else is good. So we're going to update these accounts. And let's go through and update these categories. Since now it'll ask, and we can say yes, we've already gone through and updated. So now you can see any category that has multiple accounts tied to it, and that's what this check is. It's asking is how many accounts are tied to it. Any category that has multiple accounts is going to get that little star automatically, and that helps us when we're trying to see, which of those, how much of each category's expense goes to a certain account. We can just see that star, and we can filter that on the table. I'll show you that in a moment. And then any categories that did not have multiple, so any of these ones here, you'll see that we also have that same name, just with a little dash. So that cell phone, we just have a cell phone account as well. So the only ones that are not going to have anything assigned to them now are the NIUs, and so that's another reason we call them NIUs, so that it doesn't create an account over there. So now if we go look at that budget, you'll see that we have a lot more space. Go ahead and auto fit that because all the NIU columns are now hidden. And so if we decide to change anything at any point, like I said, once you've used it for some expenses, if you change it, those expenses won't necessarily show up somewhere, especially for the accounts, the categories, so it'll still be fine. But once you've, up until then, or even after then for the categories, you can change these. If you decide you forgot something, let's just add an other and update it. Obviously that'll show the other column now as well. And if we change one back to NIU, if we decide we don't need another, then update it. So you can see we will now have that other will now be gone. Let's leave that other on for now. And so that's just the first step. You're always going to want to set the options, and then you're going to want to set up your accounts and your categories. Just remember, these are where you're actually going to enter in your expenses to. So the next step is to go to the budget and assign certain amounts for each category. So if you know how much you want to, you have that as take-home pay that you're going to be allocating out to these different categories. I'm just going to throw in like 2,000, just keep it a round number. You'll see this amount just saying 2,000 is left to allocate. That's because obviously we haven't put anything in yet. So let's say, I don't know, 300 house. I'm just going to throw in some numbers here because I don't really feel like thinking about how much goes in each one. So close. Alright, so there's our total amount. Now as you can see, we've got everything allocated. Click that auto fit so that the numbers all show up there. And now we've got all the budget amounts set. So now there's two things left we have to do. If we try to enter an expense now, you can see that our entire list that we just added is now available. So just do cable, say 40. And what can sometimes happen here, and this is what I'm showing you, that is that it's not going to come yet. And why isn't it here yet? It's because you just created that account, or you just created all these, you just created your budget. So when you just create the budget, there's one more thing you have to do first. Go to this options page, at the very top, go and click that troubleshoot button. And what that really does is that sorts the pivot tables. You don't need to know what that means, but it basically sets it up so that you're able to add expenses. So you'll just have to do that once. If you ever do notice that all your stuff disappeared, that's probably the issue. I have that in the frequently asked questions, and there's a button there just to fix it there as well. So the only other thing I wanted to go over was just the reason for those stars on any categories that have multiple accounts. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to just add another expense here. We'll just add this one to power for 60 bucks because our last one I believe was to the cable. So now you can see, because this table is for showing you the breakout of any expenses to a specific category. So now we can see that of that $100 in utilities, 40 went to cable, 60 went to power. So now if we add an expense to something that doesn't have multiple categories, for example clothes, I'll just add 50 bucks there. When we're trying to decide which of these categories we want to see the breakout of, any of the ones with the stars, it could be beneficial because they have multiple accounts that go to it. Anything without a star, it's not going to be that useful because it's just going to have our category of clothes and then our account of clothes. So that's the reason that the star gets added there. But that's pretty much it. So the next video will be on the day-to-day operations, and once you've got everything set up here, you're ready to go. Everybody have a good day.